Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Emergent Gamer Podcast, episode 262. I'm one of your hosts, Neo Ayoshi, and I'm sitting here with Felix Ergood.
Hey, what's up?
And Shrib Zero.
What's going on, guys? How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon?
Fantastic. Afternoon.
Nice.
2:22 p.m.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Dude.
You got me.
Get more hours in the day.
Oh, for sure.
I'm feeling pretty good. I got sleep last night again.
Nice.
You look better. You look like you've been increasing your energy every week, upgrading your stamina bar, if you will.
Can I tell you something that this is not even like a product plug? We're not actually sponsored by this group. We could get sponsored by this group, but anyway.
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
I don't remember the brand name, but I was complaining about how the mask at my job, if I have a beard, it pushes up into my eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we bought razors, and I was shaving myself, and we got those normal 3-blade disposables or whatever, and I was shaving myself and everything, and I was complaining about it. And Mrs. Felix, being the kind heart that she is, whenever she hears that I'm complaining about something, she gets annoyed and just decides to throw money at it to fix the problem. So she got me a old-fashioned safety razor. I don't even know the brand name off the top of my head. Have you guys ever shaved with a safety razor?
Wait, is it the ones that you clean with the belt and whatever? Or
well, I mean, no. You're thinking of an 19th century, 1800s fucking straight razor. I'm not Bill the Butcher, dude, from Gangs of New York.
What's this?
A safety razor. It's the kind that looks almost like a T. And it's got you put the blade in the middle, like the kind of razor blades that people slit their fucking,
you manually put the blade in.
Yes, when your blade is ready, you put it in, and it stays flat in the top, and it's round, and there's a blade on each side, and you can flip as you're shaving.
I've never used that.
1950s, 1960s, man, it is such a good cut. I fucking love it.
It works well?
Yeah, but I shaved with that, and I even have she got me the bowl. Where you have the little thing, you mix it with water, and then you lather it up. And
it's like a little mortar and pestle style thing.
Yeah, bowl. Yeah.
No.
So I got that whole thing, and
I've only ever used overpriced Gillettes, so I have not done
I'm
the.
super excited about it because I
thing.
enjoy shaving now. I fucking didn't for a while.
That's great, dude. You're all clean and stuff.
I've been on what's that razor company that isn't Gillette? They're smaller. God damn, who do I use?
Dollar Shave Club?
Yeah. Yes, I use Dollar Shave Club. Yeah, they're pretty good.
You might be thinking of Schick. I think Schick does stuff too.
No, it's Dollar Shave Club.
Dollar Shave Club.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and they have. I switched off of cream, shaving cream, to the gel. Perfect. It doesn't irritate my skin. I love it. It stays moisturized and everything. I don't get dry razor burn. It's awesome.
The Emergent Shaving Podcast.
Yeah, and there wasn't a sponsor thing going on here, but I wanted to tell you that it feels good to shave. I still don't like my face without a beard, but
you've had a beard for how long? Well, I mean, besides a blip for an event,
dude. I've had a beard. I've been trying to grow a beard since I got out of high school and couldn't really grow a beard until the age of 26. So you just the minute
and then you went all in.
No, something happened in my body chemistry between the ages of 25 and 27. Where I could just fully grow the beard, it started coming in all parts. I used to have these holes here, and then
the old patchy beard.
Yeah, your body chemistry changes at some point when you get in your 20s, and then I start looking cooler with it, so it was great.
Hell yeah!
Well, you look great without it, so
thanks.
So don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
I was gonna say, thanks to modern technology, I can actually digitally remove my beard currently.
Oh, do it.
For anyone who would like to see do it right now. This is YouTube content,
right
you guys.
now.
Anyone listening to the podcast, there you go. This is me without a beard. How about that? How does that look? Hey,
modern technology.
It does something really fucked up to your teeth, though, dude.
Yeah, it's messing with my lip area. I can.
Well, it has to draw them in where they're not visible under the beard.
It's so weird, but you look like Gollum.
Oh God, no!
It puts these weird.
It's kind of weird. Bear with me, but
yeah,
Gollum.
All right. So,
in terms of video games I've been doing this week, I haven't been doing much. I'm not going to take any real time to talk about it. I've been playing Breath of the Wild still. I'm on my quest to 100% the game, and it's so much fun. I got the bike last week. I got the ancient motorcycle, so I'm zipping around the world and finding Koroks and finding shrines, and I'm almost done all the shrines. I think I have like 9 shrines left in the game, and I'm done all the shrines. Yeah.
How many total shrines are there?
120, not including the 3, 6, 9, 12 extra ones. That's part of like the major quest to get the bike. So there are like special shrines that don't give you like the spirit orbs you normally would get in the course of playing the game to upgrade your character. They're specifically for upgrading your powers, which is part of this DLC quest. So there's 32 or 132, including those DLC ones, and 120 in the base game.
How many Korok seeds are you keeping track of the amount of Korok seeds you have?
Yeah, well, it tells you in the every time you load the game, like whenever you go into a shrine or something else, like you have your stats that dance along the right side of the screen. It's pretty cool. So I have 175 Koroks right now. There are 900 in the game, so that's going to be like the search, really.
I don't. So
you're just gonna follow a manual or guide or something, right?
No, I haven't been yet because
okay.
Because one of the DLC items is a Korok mask, which shakes on Link's face and makes noise when you are near a Korok. So it doesn't tell you exactly, because finding a Korok seed in Breath of the Wild requires you to solve a little environmental puzzle, and there's like multiple types of that. So you have to like still recognize and search and try and find where this thing might be, but you have like now some kind of a hint that you're near one and should stop and try to.
But you're not using a guide at all to do that.
No, the only guides that I was using during my streams were to like find where shrine quests start, because some shrines aren't just visible in the world and won't like ping your radar. You have to like find someone to tell you, oh, I shattered this rock, but there's a message on it. Help me find the pieces. And they'll find the pieces and go, oh, now go here and like open up this thing and that'll get you something. Like you have to do that for shrines. And I was like, I don't really feel like this world is absolutely fucking gigantic. Just tell me where the people are and I'll solve the quests after you start the quest for me. So that's the only thing that I've been looking up so far. I'm not opposed to it, and I probably will as I get closer to the end, but for now, that's all I've been looking up.
So one of my friends recently started the game over as well. And I noticed this is what he was doing on his laptop. He has one of those digital Google Earth style maps of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And he can mark, and it will track anything he accomplishes in the game. So he can check off once he finds a seed, and he knows it removes it from the map. He doesn't have to worry about it.
Oh, so he has a full map, and he's removing things from that map.
It's a full interactive map. Like it's one of those detailed interactive maps where you can filter and it'll save whatever.
I think IGN has one of those. It's actually really good. I'm not the biggest fan of IGN, but I know their Breath of the Wild map is pretty good. I've used that for location information before, definitely.
Yeah, IGN's Moon Finder in Mario Odyssey is really good. That's what I'm.
Is it like a map, and it'll build little pinpoint locations you can zoom in, zoom out, filter, turn filters off.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All symbols and stuff. Yeah. Well, like Breath of the Wild itself has a really good marking feature. There are pins you can set across the map. There's multiple styles of pins. You can put like a skull, a star, a diamond, a little leaf.
They're limited though, right? Or are they unlimited?
The little marker ones, I think, there might be like maybe 30.
Some of them are the colored ones are a max of 5. You can
there's 5 different colored ones. The benefit of the colored ones is that they'll appear on the edge of your mini map the entire time, so you can kind of like always be running towards it without having to like check your big map. And they'll also be visible in your binoculars. If you use your Sheikah Slate to like look far away, you'll see those as like a big colored pillar on the horizon, as opposed to like just looking at a mini map for a marker. So that's very helpful too in your questing and marking. But like the map will also permanently mark a Korok seed where you found one. So it's like the inverse of what your friend is doing. The game keeps track cumulatively. So you can look and go, oh, I did find one here. I did find one here. Like you can see like the positive progress, as opposed to like removing them as you find them. Still helpful.
I guess the idea is like remove the clutter on the map until you can see which ones are left.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's working through just just doing it, just kind of following the waypoints and.
He wants to 100% it as well. That was a thing that he set out to do like 2 weeks ago or whatever when I was watching him do it.
I'm going to try to do it without guides as close as I can get to the end of it. And then when they become too few and far between to find with the size of the world, I'm just going to be like, all right, give me like, let's go to IGN and get the map up and just scoop them all up,
Absolutely.
But it's fun, man. I mean, you put the mask on that'll shake when you're near one. You just hop on the bike and just zoom across the world. It's really fun.
Yeah, the bike is powered by ancient materials, right?
It's powered by anything, actually. You do have to
really?
refill it. Yeah, but like it'll take any material. So like I've got a shit ton of apples, bananas. Like I feel like Doc Brown throwing shit.
Oh my
into,
god, that is like
DeLorean. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well,
I was just thinking that. I was like, oh wow, that's like the DeLorean.
Will it just drive up a mountain?
Not well, to a certain extent. Like it'll actually drive up a lot more than you think it will. So I also get like Death Stranding vibes when I'm like hopping this bike over rocks and shit, going straight up like a snowy cliff face, like Link's about to deliver a package to some far off little bunker.
And will I break my Switch if I try to get this bike?
You might.
Because
might.
It's that hard, huh?
The initial part of the quest, and I think I mentioned this before,
Yeah,
the initial part of the quest gives you a weapon that will one-shot kill anything, but you die from one hit.
Right.
And using that weapon, you have to clear 4 monster camps on the initial plateau and then solve the 4 shrines that appear. Oh, I'm sorry. So that makes it 136, including these 4 shrines I forgot about. And then clear the shrines with the weapon.
Without dying.
And without dying. Now you can die in between. So there are 8 checkpoints if you want to think about it that way. Every time you clear a monster camp, you save. If you die, you'll start at that point. Every time you clear a shrine,
okay. Well, that's not as bad.
You'll start again there. But like, you're in the shrine and maybe you get hit by like, you get electrocuted or you get smashed by a big swinging ball. That's it. You got to start again. It resets the progress of the shrine.
Doesn't that already happen in shrines when you die?
No. Mm-mm.
Really?
Actually, it won't reset the progress. I think it might
just put you at the beginning of the shrine, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
It just dumps you in the beginning
Yeah.
but and resets the progress. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. If you learn
you might.
If you learn it, and
a really big fucking help that I don't know why I didn't even try this, but I was playing with only this weapon. So it's like a sword, essentially. You gotta get close and everything. And like all the moblins and shit have arrows. And there's like wizardrobes that are casting like magic shit at you. And I'm like, this is really fucking tough, right? Well, your bow still works using this weapon.
Right.
And I didn't even try that until I was through like 2 monster camps and 2 shrines. And like,
good tip. Yeah, I would have forgotten
like,
about
Jesus
that. Yeah.
Christ, man. And I was like, this is just so intense. And then someone was like, try the bow. And I was like, okay.
Why didn't I think of that?
It's like 85% easier.
Well, I have a lot more playing to do, but when I get closer to that, I'll give you a heads up.
It's fun, man. It's a fun challenge to go through. And then you finish the plateau stuff, then you quest around the world, going to each of the divine beasts and finding new special shrines, then refighting Ganon and all those divine beasts using very limited loadouts. It's if someone hadn't played the game and then wants another challenge to Breath of the Wild to spice it up, it's the perfect thing to play through. It's very long, very involved, very challenging, and very fun.
I'm still tempted to reset my progress and then play that again.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It's such a good game, such a masterpiece.
It's incredible. Anyway, that's me.
Felix, what's up?
The main thing I wanted to discuss really is just the upcoming Marvel Avengers beta. I'm definitely gonna be playing it, but the only thing I'll say, like real briefly, is I'm finally getting really close to finishing Red Dead Redemption 2 story.
Oh,
okay.
So,
nice, dude.
Wow, you're right. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm about ready to move from I think there's 8 chapters, and I'm at the end of chapter 6. I'm getting really close. And this is a long time coming because like that's a game that I kind of like it got totally distracted by doing hunting and things like that in the world, and completely forgot to play the story.
Yeah, that's what I did when I was playing too.
That little thing there.
Yeah.
But I was adamant about actually just completing it, and I went from, my move is all the white side quests I do first in an area, then I do the yellow main quests. White side quests, yellow main quests, and I just keep doing it. And I don't hunt. I don't do any of that extra stuff. The only thing I do is cook food because you need it for your cores, and that's
You do, yeah.
That's basically it. I cook food. If I gotta kill a deer just to hunt a little bit, I'll do that.
Yeah.
If I kill some kind of animal in like a mission or something like that, like I just played a mission where I had to kill some wolves. I killed all the wolves. I skinned them all properly, took their skins, put them on the back, and sold them off. But like, I don't go beyond the main story content.
Are you just doing that to finish it as quickly as possible? Not as quickly, but like, or do you just want to power through?
Yeah, I want to know
like,
the
and
story. I want to know the
actually
story.
finish it?
I've been wanting to know the story for a long time. You know, even though I hate Rockstar for some of their business practices with their online games,
Mhm.
I still feel guilty that I haven't completed this. After
Right.
being a Rockstar fan for so many years, I feel guilt in my heart for not fucking.
Guilt in your heart.
Yeah, I literally think about it in the
They
shower.
don't feel guilt in their heart for having your money. They're
No,
fine,
not
dude.
at all.
Not at all.
I've had to let go that I will never finish that game. Like
Oh,
it's
Red Dead
so
2?
like I don't. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember like a few months after it came out, I was like, I came on this podcast and I was like, I am going to finish this story. I'm going to mainline it and do it. And then I tried it for like a few days, and then I was like, nope, I can't do this. Everything takes hours to do. Everything is just so
Yeah.
long. The story though, fantastically told. Like, are you enjoying yourself with the story that you're playing through? Is
Yeah,
I mean,
it got me.
everything says
when
it's
you-
amazing.
when you play it.
Amazing.
When you play mission after mission after mission, you start to see the narrative. It got me into thinking about like westerns again and the motif of Western cinema. I ended up buying a bunch of like Western movies, like Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood, like
Mhm.
to see what movies inspired them. You know, not Dirty Dozen.
Might do that with Ghost of Tsushima because of its inspirations to Samurai.
watch some old Kurosawa. Yeah.
Mhm.
I couldn't do Ghost of Tsushima until I actually finished this game because I've been wanting to finish the story for a long time. You know, a sidebar, if you guys haven't watched, if you want to watch one of the best modern Westerns ever, it's a 7-episode, it would have been a really long movie, but they made it into 7 episodes. It's a finished story. It's called Godless on Netflix. If you haven't watched that,
I've heard of Godless. I've heard
Godless-
really good things about
it
it.
has Michelle Dockery from what's the house in UK in the early 1900s? What's that show? I watched the whole thing.
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Michelle
Yeah.
Dockery from Downton Abbey does an amazing Western American accent.
Wow.
And plays this woman who's been kind of outcast in this community of all women whose men all died in a mine accident. And the way the story unfolds is they take in this lonesome male stranger and protect him.
This lonesome male stranger.
Right. No, take him in. It's not a sex thing. They take him in.
Was not going down there.
I
for
know.
Sure. Come on in, you
had
lonesome
to
male
clarify.
stranger.
But
I don't know why they're Irish too, because that's what my accent does.
They take him in to protect him, not realizing that he's being hunted by the baddest ass fucking villain of the West, played by Jeff Daniels. And he is brutal in this show, dude.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels is nasty as fuck in the show. It's so good.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, it's really good. But
Dumb and Dumber fame.
Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber and Newsroom plays this nasty
Yeah.
as fuck like villain of
Your
the
hands
West.
are freezing.
Yeah. There's probably memes out there that takes footage
Oh,
from Godless,
yeah, 1000%.
cross it with Dumb and Dumber. It's like him from Godless, and then like Lloyd for fucking from fucking Dumb and Dumber. But anyway, that was a little
Hey, Mary
sidebar
will
on.
play
That was a sidebar on my favorite like Western TV show. But this game, playing through it, the motifs in it like make me want to watch Western TV and Western movies.
Yeah.
Because they really nail it, man. They nail it. So that was
Nice.
I'm done.
Nice.
That was
Nice.
longer than 3 sentences. Sorry.
No, look, if you finish it, I would love to hear your full take on the story and everything, because that is a game I've avoided spoilers on completely. Like, I still don't know how it ends. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Oh my God, there's a middle
No
part
idea.
that I'm not spoiling. There's a middle part that like I really want to get your thoughts on, because I'm just like I'm playing this and I'm going, okay, this just went in a direction that I fucking didn't think it would go in.
Mhm.
It was crazy.
I've heard nothing but praises about the story of this, and it's just one of those games that just nails the story
And there's like
and characters.
there's real I guess the word I would say ennui with the characters, which is like it's a French word and it means like I guess it means malaise
Hmm.
with the state of, because as
You just
you
just
start.
took a French word and then used another word that I don't know.
Oh shit!
Malaise?
Sorry.
Malaise is
a
like
general
just
sense of
incredibly-
foreboding. A general
Well, it's not
sense of
malaise.
a general sense of foreboding. Like
Gotcha.
it takes over because you start the game. We all know when the game starts that this gang of people we're looking at is going to dwindle down over the course of the story, down to a few left because we know who survive. And you
We know
start to,
we know John Marston's story. Yeah.
right. So you start
From
to
the first
you
game.
start to see like how some of these people perish, and it's fucked up, dude. Like at some point, and you don't get to that when you're in that beginning part that Trip got stuck on. You know, when you're at Horseshoe Overlook.
not stuck, actively ignored, and then or they didn't care about the game.
But when you're in Horseshoe Overlook, everyone's intact, right? It's not until the later chapters when you start to realize, oh shit, I'm playing a game where most people don't get out alive. It's fucking
Right.
great. And you get to know these characters. You get to love these characters, and then the game starts, showing you how they went.
Yeah, you know that you know going in it's a tragic story to begin with.
Right. Yeah, it's very.
And then
Very
it unfolds
Shakespearean.
in front of you. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're enjoying that again. Every time I hear you guys talk about games like Breath of the Wild or Red Dead, it makes me go, yeah, I really want to play more of that, but I just never. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Red Dead is one of those games that I would love to play, but like I would need
Could
the
have been a good
hours.
quarantine game.
It could be a
Yeah.
great quarantine game. Yeah.
I'll be
Mm,
very
really should-
specific. I'm looking up the definition because I didn't know how to articulate the definition. Ennui,
Of what?
ennui, spelled Ennui, is a French word that means a feeling of utter weariness and discontent resulting from, it says resulting from staleness or, this says lack of interest, but I would say that like that's true of the characters because they're just in this lifestyle that just will not stop punishing them. So
hmm
maybe
Wow.
that was probably the wrong word.
No, that's a good explanation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ennui
but
is like
that's
you
what
feel
they
being
are, right?
Quarantine for months and months and months. You know, that's what
Mhm.
ennui really would be.
Yeah, that's what it would be. It would be months of being in quarantine and going crazy and wanting to blow your brains out. Not suffering the horrors of the plight of the West.
Right. No, not that. Not that. Though
I'm
sure
gonna
you know,
find a
the
different
West
word.
was
I'm
full
gonna,
of a good amount of ennui. You know.
all right, I'm
Ennui,
gonna
baby,
shut-
ennui.
I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
All right, I'll talk briefly. I didn't play a whole lot of different stuff this week. I reactivated my Final Fantasy account, Final Fantasy 14.
Hell yeah.
Over the weekend, I was playing a little bit of that. Pretty much me, Rowan and Jay, we tore up some dungeons. I got some new gear. I got to tell you, the crossover, like specifically what I will talk about is the crossover dungeon, like raid dungeon, which is like 24 people, and between Nier Automata and Final Fantasy is what's up, Felix? Yes.
Before you go into that, because this kind of connects to our
I will.
work,
Okay.
the two shows ago, we had an earlier conversation about MMORPG dungeon type play. Does
Yes.
Final Fantasy 14 fall into the construct of what we were talking about? How you said that
Yes.
that there's party based gear that is divvied out by a leader. Is that
Mhm.
so? That's
If
how Final
The
Fantasy
loot,
works.
you're talking about the loot system.
Yeah,
we're
the
talking
loot
about, right?
system.
Yeah,
That's how it works in the Final Fantasy 14 dungeons.
I mean to
But-
derail you. I just wanted to check.
But for the most part, when you're doing these dungeons, it's usually just 4 of us queuing in a large queue, right, to be grouped up with 24 people in a party of 24. And then what happens is the way Final Fantasy 14 handles it is it splits their groups into 3 groups of 8. So what happens every time you beat a boss, 3 treasure chests appear on the field, and they're divided by group A, B, and C. And one group of 8 will get the gear out of one chest, and so on and so forth, right? And then they roll need or greed depending on the gear that they need or greed on. The game only lets you need on gear that is your class, just to keep it fair. So if I'm rolling as a healer, only healer gear I can roll need on. Otherwise, I can roll greed on anything else or pass on it. So does that clarify the?
I still don't understand
Does that
the
answer?
need and greed thing, but you don't have to explain it now. You wanted to talk about the game.
No, it's fine. No, it's very, very quick. I don't really have that much else to talk about because I'm also playing Ghost of Tsushima, but I've already talked about it like 4 times. Need means I need this gear for my class role. So if a piece of healer gear drops, then
what if you
it's
already
gonna
have
show
it
up as
slotted that piece?
If I already have that piece, Final Fantasy knows you already have that piece and goes, hey, you can't roll on the same item of gear that you already have.
I see.
You can pass, and I think it makes you pass on it. I think.
And then,
I don't think you can roll greed on it.
And when you say roll, you mean it randomizes the stats of the gear?
So the roll is a dice roll between you and competing people rolling for the gear.
See if you get it. Got it.
Right. So you'll roll 1 through 100, and then whoever has the highest dice roll, then it'll give it to that person.
Okay.
Just to keep it nice and fair.
How does that roll look in the game? Is it physically like animated dice?
No, it's not. It's in text chat.
Oh, it's
you see it. So like when you and when you hit it, the button on screen for the piece of gear, it shows the number that you roll on the piece of gear. Like it'll show like a 90 on it if you roll that. But yes, it's in text chat, so you can see who rolled on what, and then it shows you who wins it in the text chat as also.
But I think that only works, or not only works, but the way you're describing how it like limits you, it sounds like it might only be for those high level end game type raids. Because I think I can go through like just a regular dungeon queue and greed on everything if I just want to be a dickhead and try to like, or not greed on everything, but like almost need on things even if I already have it. Well,
because there are definitely moments in dungeons, and especially like level 50 and higher dungeons, where I'll roll on something and a message will pop up and say, hey, you can't roll on that. You already have that gear like in your inventory. Mm-hmm. You already have this. Like you can't. Maybe you'll have to double check for me.
Maybe if you have it for like, I sell all my shit that I'm not wearing. So like I might just go through and
sure.
I was mad scooping early on to have stuff to sell. But then eventually, like at this point, I'm just passing on like everything because I don't want all the clutter.
So Trip, in my retainer bank, I used to keep all my old gear, right? Just like stacks and stacks of it, like just taking up space. But since Final Fantasy 14 added the glamour chest, you can just dump that into the glamour chest, and then if you ever want to create like outfits for your character, you can mix and match your old gear and make yourself a cool glamour outfit that you can just throw on yourself. So I ended up throwing like 300 pieces of gear in that glamour chest.
And a glamour
limited?
Pretty cool.
Is that unlimited?
I was going to ask the same question.
What's glamour chest?
Is it unlimited?
400 slots.
It's still a lot more than I think what your armor chest is.
Yeah, with your bank, like in general. Yeah. Which is good. And
regular inventory, your retainer inventory, your armor chest inventory, and now the 400 slots of that, you could keep a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm. And now your Chocobo saddlebags. Which are also another thing.
The saddlebags.
Yeah, I forgot all. That's a new. That was like a recent addition for me.
It a lot of garbage. I don't want to think like that because I already hoard way too much digital
hoarder.
Shit. Yeah,
I know. But yeah, so Final Fantasy is still great, and the game. I don't know how much ESO is like this, Felix, but this game is essentially a giant game of dress up. For the most part, for a lot of people have all kinds of costumes and outfits.
MMO just turns into that, dude. Like honestly,
eventually,
like, it all just becomes a big cosmetic race to see who looks the coolest.
You go to Limsa or whatever, and you just see people wearing anything, with chocobo onesies and all kinds of
the home, like the big crystal where you warp in there all the time, is like the Times Square of any like city in Final Fantasy. People are there playing modern music on like the in-game instruments that they've written their own like music scores for. People are doing like dances and shit. They're selling shit. It's like a living, breathing, wild like marketplace. It's absolutely insane. I have so many clips when I heard someone playing like, I don't know, like a Kanye song or like another Final Fantasy 7 track in this other Final Fantasy game. I would just like screen record it or something while I was playing because I'm like, that's wild. That's new.
Yeah. And it's only Limsa too. It's none of the other cities are ever that popping, which is a shame. But
no, there's always like they're full of people, but no one's like making their own party out of it the way it happens in
they're for sure.
What you're describing is how every city in ESO is. It's just a bunch of noise, a bunch of weird like
just a bunch of people partying.
Cool dressed there's no sense to it. It's a bunch of cool, like clearly dressed to the nines, like with their characters or their flair or whatever they add on their fucking bullshit end game armor or whatever. And they're all just moving in weird directions. Some are dancing. Some are fighting back and forth, like casting spells at each other and shit. Like it literally looks like an asylum. of insanity.
Everyone's crazy.
That's what ESO like seems like to me. So I just ignore all that shit. And as far as outfits, I have 2 outfits. That's it. One of them I wear for when. Sorry, I have 3. I have 1 outfit and 2 like it wouldn't be called an outfit. It would be called like a piece of like
Vanity gear.
yeah, more like a dress. You know, like because I'm a female character.
Mhm.
Like you put on the dress when I put that on when I go into like a royal situation where there's like a king I got to talk to or some shit. I put on the dress.
You dress yourself, like the game
Yes,
doesn't make you.
I role play it. I actively put it on because I think in my head the character would wear that if she went into a fine situation with higher class people.
I
I'll tell you what.
respect it. Yeah.
I think about when I was playing through the Shadowbringers campaign and I knew there was a cutscene coming up, I would actively change to my non-battle gear, like just non-battle gear, something more formal.
To me,
And
it
then I would
doesn't,
switch back when I fought.
if I'm in a cutscene with a seedy individual in like a back alley and a part of a story quest with like a weird twist or a deep down covert thing we got to go, she puts on like this mask and literally looks like a ninja. You know, she looks like she's a part of the Dark Brotherhood at that point. Because I've actually custom the gear for when I play the Dark Brotherhood. It's the colors and the dyes in the clothing. I've dyed it so that it's Dark Brotherhood colors. So it's
Nice.
It's pretty cool. So I went that far with it, but I'm playing alone. I'm not presenting that to somebody else. I'm doing it for my own role playing excitement, I guess.
Right.
Or whatever.
Nice.
You know, the flashy stuff happens when we're playing Fallout. We put goofy
for sure.
in Fallout. We put goofy outfits on and that kind of shit. Like Splorence is always running around with his fucking big goddamn. He has a big bear hat. And he's always being creepy with
the
it.
bear hat.
Yeah, like sometimes he'll show up and he's not wearing any clothes but the bear hat, and I'm like, "Thanks, Florence. That's weird and awkward."
My guy in Final Fantasy, I have it glamored to look like Cloud from Advent Children, so that's funny in some cutscenes, especially in like the cold area, just bare sleeves, and just freezing out there.
I have my my tank classes that I have are actually they have the cloud glamour gear on. My samurai is dressed like Noctis from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And this is actually what I wanted to originally talk about was my healer now dresses like 2B from Nier Automata. So all my characters are dressed in black currently, which is kind of dope.
Do you get the 2B gear? Does that drop from the raid, from this crossover raid?
It's this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about this raid specifically because part 2 of the raid comes out next week. So there's a major patch coming out. Yeah, major patch drops next week.
What happens when you get to the end of part 1? Does the game just say like hold on for more? Like what happens?
So, well, you do a quest line. There's a whole quest line about it, and like a side story that occurs. Yeah. And then it does. Yes, it does do to be continued. And actually, I'm at a point in the story, the main story quest, where they showed a big cutscene and they left you on another cliffhanger for the next big patch to drop. Yeah, that's how they do it. That's how they do all the post expansion stuff. They release these big patches that like will release a big chunk of story content, and then like they'll leave you cliffhanged until the next one.
Yeah, I haven't experienced the big quest line between Realm Reborn and Heavensward, but that was like an entire game unto itself in terms of all the shit I had to do and all the content I had to play.
You played through all the cliffhangers, but you just didn't see it because it just continues on for you.
Yeah, I'm sure that was split among like 3 or 4 patches.
Indeed. This patch did get delayed, the one that's upcoming, but they're releasing part 2 of the Nier raid, and this Nier raid, I know it's nothing special or nothing like crazy to write home about. I know our Final Fantasy resident Rowan, he's like, I don't really care about Nier Automata, but guys, let me tell you about this raid because the boss fights are fine, they're normal, they're whatever, but the music that they inject into this raid is absolutely amazing because Nier Automata has. The game? And what they do is they do a mashup of Nier Automata's theme, and they inject Final Fantasy's music into it. So like you hear clear cues from all these, and the final boss fight is hype as fuck. It's like really, really hype because you are fighting a main character from Nier Automata, and it's a crazy epic fight, and this battle music is just blaring, and it is fantastic.
Now, do they try to like tie this in so that it makes actual canon sense for both of these stories, or do they just acknowledge that it's like a fun, weird thing you're doing because the games aren't related at all? Like, how do they handle that?
Yeah, it's just like this is a thing that's happening in this world. And actually, thanks to Shadowbringers, I don't want to spoil Shadowbringers for you, but because of the nature of Shadowbringers, they can make it make sense because you're technically not in Eorzea with Shadowbringers.
Is that how they made the Final Fantasy 15 car a thing?
Yes, yes, because Noctis shows up at one point and you do a bunch of missions with Noctis. And not to mention that Monster Hunter also has a injected
I forgot
boss raid fight. Yeah, they did a crossover with that as well. So, and it's fun though. And
crossovers are just the weirdest like concept that's becoming a real popular thing now.
But you know what? I really love it. I love seeing, because those are games I play, Monster Hunter, and I play Nier Automata, and those games are great. And I love seeing them in other games that I play, even though it doesn't make any sense at all. Like it shouldn't make sense.
Right.
But the best part is at the end of the raid that the Nier raid that I did this past week was I won. You get a piece of actual fighting gear from it that is themed like Nier Automata, right? For your character, and everyone can roll on a piece depending on who drops it, right? But you also can get a box, and inside this box, when you open it up, is the 2B cosmetic gear. 2B is the name of the character from
the whole
Nier
set
Automata.
at once.
The whole straight set. So now I can just roll around looking like actual 2B from Nier, and that's exactly what I wanted. Back in the Heavensward, nope. One of the older patches or one of the older expansions, I tried to like make my character look like 2B at one point, but using in-game gear that didn't really quite look like it. Yeah, but now I can actually do it. So my ninja can actually look like that. My healer looks like her. It's dope.
Nice.
So I'm very excited. I'll probably talk more about the patch updates next week. Because I'm playing the game now. I'm back in it, baby.
Back in. Nice.
Other than that, more Ghost of Tsushima, and I finished Act 2 on that, so I'm in the last third of the game. It's a great story. Highly recommend you play it if you like a good drama, like a good samurai drama. All in on it. But yeah, that's all I got from me right now. I haven't really been playing anything else that's new. Valorant, whatever. I got hooked on Valorant this week too. Same shit, different week.
Yep, that's quarantine, baby.
Oh yeah,
That's quarantine, baby. All right,
right.
cool. Do you want to hop into the first piece of news?
Yeah.
So now,
As we-
Felix wanted to talk about Marvel's Avengers. Would you guys like to start with Marvel's Avengers?
yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Trip, you okay with that?
What do you want to do, Trip?
No, I'm not okay with it. No, let's talk about it.
Guys, Trip's okay with it.
Trip's like, is this a fucked up segue? What are you guys doing?
Like, what's happening? Just talk about.
All right,
okay?
so
Can I ask your
past
permission
week-
to talk about this news point?
well, I don't know because we had that other big story that we would definitely talk about. I
We
didn't
can
know which
probably-
one we should
But
do.
can we lead with a couple of details here about the game?
Lead.
Do it.
So
We-
we're talking
lead
about
with the details, I'm ready.
we're talking about Marvel's Avengers game that is being produced and created by Square Enix for presumably all platforms: PC, PS4, and Xbox.
you are correct.
And they're doing their own thing. They're doing like a story that is kind of unique, a world of lore that's kind of their own, almost their own Marvel universe.
they're doing what they did with like what Insomniac did with Marvel Spider-Man with the PS4 game, right?
And there's no possibility that the Spider-Man that potentially could be coming into the game that we're going to talk about that's controversial is possibly the Peter Parker Spider-Man from that game.
I'm going to say it's not.
This is not a crossover with Insomniac, so everyone's clear on that.
No,
That sounds like that would be a lot.
it's
And a lot
way
of
too many hoops.
Yeah.
Too many fingers in the pot.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the reason we're talking about it this week is because this Friday is when the specifically and only it's not a closed beta, it's an open beta just for
pre-orders.
for pre-order PS4. So this Friday it's pre-order PS4, get a chance to try. Next weekend it's going to be Xbox PC's pre-order and open PS4. So all people who have PS4 can try it out, and that's going to be next weekend. But that's why we're talking about
no
this.
pre-order needed for the open.
No pre-order needed.
Yeah, so somebody who wants to try the beta on PS4 next weekend can just try it.
See, I might do that because I've said that I'm not super interested in this, because of the
do it on
content.
do it on PS4 with us, so we can
But-
all group up.
Here's the
Be
thing. I will tell you from researching this further, Trip Zero, you're not necessarily into the lore content because you're not into Marvel comics and superheroes as much as everyone else on the table here. But I will tell you the structure of this game is identical to a game that you love near and dear
do
to
like
your heart.
a good looter. So
That's what it is, man. It seems like it's
So-
going to play a lot like Destiny, bro.
2020 has already had a lot of wild surprises. Who knows? I might end up being a Marvel's Avengers main.
That would be insane because Diamond Jab is going to be all in on this. I've already heard
Yeah.
him be like, yes, this is a game that I'm very much.
He went
invested
really
in.
hard with like the Switch game. I forget what was that. Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance.
He didn't go as hard as I did.
No, not no.
Yeah.
Felix was all
Because
in.
he didn't like what they did with the DLC, which I respect him for because it was
He
bullshit.
got like excited and hype about it, just conceptually about all the superheroes.
and as I see this game, how it's exactly that game with like 3-dimensional graphics. Like
Mhm.
not the game modes. The game modes are going to be different, but they're differently named, but they're almost pretty much the same. They're going to have these things called harm rooms, which are rooms where you just completely you're in different environments and it changes.
You're fighting waves of
You're
enemies.
fighting waves of
Yeah.
enemy. Well, they call those based on the X-Men in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They call them danger rooms. Like
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
a thing.
Danger Room's the X-Men thing.
That's a thing that's
It's funny.
built into Marvel Ultimate Alliance. The only two differences I see between these games is what character loadouts are going to have, like what type of the gear structure is going to be like, because Marvel Ultimate Alliance doesn't give you that much cosmetic, that ability to change shit. And also like what the lineup of characters are going to be, like what they're going to offer over time. But the model of it is the same because Marvel Ultimate Alliance releases the characters for free every single time they come out, right? Okay, that's not entirely true. You did have to you did have to pay for a DLC to get all the characters that have subsequently released, but they're all coming out. Once you buy that DLC once, you keep getting them as they come. So
for this game specifically, they announced the starting Avengers, which includes like Hulk, Black Widow, Iron Man,
Captain America.
and maybe he's kind of
He's in all
in the
art.
story. He has, but in the story he's supposed
Oh.
to be dead. So like that's like a plot thing that they kind of revealed early.
Right. Right. Okay.
But they did all the assets for him, and he's playable in the starting mission. So he's probably not dead. It's just they're just withholding him for story purposes, probably.
Or
But-
maybe
and
in
Miss
the
Marvel's
story,
is gonna be
someone might take it over, like maybe Bucky Barnes or something like that, or
Possibly.
I would-
Last week
I'm
they
going
did
to-
a. It's gonna be you.
You may
Uh,
Trip Zero.
Last week they announced in one of their like video drops, they showed off a lot of the game modes. The harm rooms were one of those, were one of the things they showed off, and they showed off a lot of like the group play aspects of it, and like how you like do group play activities and the various activities that they have. And the beta is actually going to have a lot of these activities available, like a shit ton, which is why I'm kind of like interested to see, because I'm worried about like an Anthem situation where they show you a lot of the game and you go, oh yeah, this is the game. You're essentially seeing the game. So I'm looking forward to trying it this weekend. They announced
Hey,
Hawkeye would be one of the.
Sorry to just completely step on your what were you saying?
No, it's okay. And they also announced Hawkeye as their first DLC release character. So that will be coming out later. What were you say? What'd you say, Trip? I didn't hear you.
I said if it sucks, we just go back to Anthem, which is already there, so it's fine.
It's already there. Yeah, it's perfect.
So I'm not worried at all.
but they definitely
Games-
said that the character is going to be released free as they come out.
I don't know, actually.
I read that. Somewhere.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, good.
All the
Confirmed.
bonus characters are free if you have a PS4.
That's not what it said.
Hmm.
Is that what it said?
Hmm.
It did not say
He's
that.
he's trying to
You're leading
anger
into
me
our-
a little bit.
You're leading into our topic.
So another thing that they announced a few days after this this video drop, is that Spider-Man would be coming exclusively to the PlayStation platform. This got the internet super mad.
Burn!
Like way mad.
There's no reason for it in 2020.
What, getting mad or withholding a character?
No, withholding a character for that specifically, because like
Right.
someone made a great point. I forget. I wish I could find the source for this, but someone made a great point in a tweet saying like, no one wins with this because people are just mad at Sony either way. Like people
Right.
in general are beyond wanting to feel this like console exclusivity. You know, like people on PlayStation aren't excited about this. They're like, why? Like
Yeah,
I don't want my friend on Xbox to not have this. Like we don't care. So like the only thing you're doing is making everyone mad at you for a company decision.
everyone's directing their anger towards them. And I know, Felix, you have a great point as to why this is happening.
Yeah.
But regardless of that point, it feels like now, if I did decide to purchase this game on my platform of choice, like, which is PC, like I would rather play this on a PC platform. And as a huge ass Spider-Man fan, I got the fucking comics behind me. Like, I have to play it on a PlayStation now if I want to do that. And now that makes me feel even worse about like putting up my money for this, that I've been like pigeonholed into playing this character on this platform.
I know.
Now you can go ahead and open up with the reason why this is probably happening.
Well, if any gamers listening are exclusive to gaming, and you're not really like a big fan of like the Marvel movies, you might not know. You know, like I have a friend who Jay Prince, who really doesn't watch. He's a fan of the Marvel movies, but he really doesn't watch a lot of TV. He doesn't watch a lot of movies and things like that, and might not know the backstory to Sony and Marvel's actual fight over the Spider-Man character, and the fact that, and this is really a casual way of saying what the result of this was, but in the fact that, you know, back when Spider-Man Homecoming was made for the MCU, Marvel essentially had to rent Spider-Man from Sony. It's their character written in origin, but they essentially had to rent the character to get him in this movie. He's back in the early 90s. Marvel was going bankrupt. They sold off a bunch of their main assets, just the visual like content.
Well,
like,
they sold the rights to their characters' usage.
Well, it's very specific.
Usages.
Usage characters in motion pictures and televisions, but not cartoon assets and not comic book assets, right? So
I want to even say not video games either.
And this is what I'm saying. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, did they stipulate that in a contract that old? Probably not.
Video games
Probably
weren't
not.
invented then. That's what's super complicated about this.
Well, they were, but they weren't as big of an industry as they are
weren't
now,
like
right?
they weren't a licensing powerhouse at that point, right? They weren't trying to license characters and that kind of shit. So I don't know. They probably aren't in that deal. You know who's not in that deal? Just so you know, Miles Morales is not in that deal. He didn't exist then.
Really?
He's owned by Marvel.
Yeah.
The creation of a Miles Morales movie, Marvel can do whenever they want, because
Sony made Spider-Verse though.
They made Spider-Verse, but I have a feeling they had to get permission from Marvel to put Miles Morales at the head of that movie. That's what it's really murky with Miles Morales because he wasn't in the original stuff. You can look this up. This is real.
I'm gonna have to
look
because
it up. Look
is
it up. Tell me the details if I'm getting something wrong. But like. Because he came after Peter Parker. He didn't exist in the original.
Yeah, right.
He wasn't even, the Ultimate Universe wasn't even a thing at that point. Anyway, the point is you know, they've now decided to do this exclusivity with this character, and it just reeks of something related somehow to the fact that the Spider-Man character is their biggest breadwinner when it comes to the motion picture visuals and marketing and all of that stuff. It seems like they have some kind of sway, like, because the response. Do you have the response by the Square Enix guy? It was a Square Enix guy that said it, right?
Oh,
the wishy-washy response that he gave everyone that reeked of Sony putting some kind of legal stop on him. Like, that's what it seems like to me.
It's him trying to not say what we all know is true, which is, you know, this was demanded by Sony, and trying to make it like seem like it was their decision to respect some kind of
deal. Like, yeah,
like he's not speaking for himself and trying to like dance around the entire issue, and it just makes it worse because people are not as dumb as they used to be about this kind of shit, and it just comes off as like, do you think we're children? Like everyone knows what you're saying. We know exactly what you're saying and what you're not saying. Just say it.
Right.
Just say it. Let's have a conversation.
Just say Sony owns the character and they want it only on one platform.
Yeah,
they want it on their platform.
Get fired, dude. You know, just like say we know you're being asked about this, and everyone's gonna like hand pick apart your answer, and he just failed miserably.
Yeah, nice. The article I sent, Felix pointed out earlier that the headline is a little like biased. because it is leaning like, yeah, the Kotaku headline's like, okay, we get it. You guys are being jerks about keeping Spider-Man on PlayStation. Like, that's fine, I guess. That's how the article's like kind of like leads it, right?
Yeah.
Right, Felix?
Yeah.
A little bit. But what he says is he's like, when it comes to Spider-Man, that's a relationship that PlayStation has the rights to. Sony's ownership has, it's there. That's essentially what he's saying.
But
Like that's
does the
what
article
we got to
actually
work with.
Does the article actually confirm that they have knowledge of that? Like that's actually the facts?
I will read the quote. So the beauty of Spider-Man and what Spider-Man represents as a character, as a world is, again, it comes back to a relationship with PlayStation and Marvel. We happen to be, once you execute and deliver, when it comes down to choices of where and what Spider-Man can be, that's a relationship question that PlayStation absolutely has the rights to. That, as you guys know, with Sony's ownership there, and Marvel with Sony saying, hey, this is something we can do. This is something we can do on this platform, is what he says. And he goes on, but yeah, it's essentially he's pretty much just talking about it. Like this is it sounds like he's saying, look, this is out of my hands. Like Sony, if we want to use Spider-Man, this is our option to use Spider-Man. We have to put it only on PlayStation.
If you just said that would have been fine.
Yeah,
but it's like a bunch of just non-sentences. It doesn't mean anything. The things that he is saying doesn't mean anything. He's talking with no substance. It's like you go to those, you ever like we're searching for something really like specific, and you end up on websites that just like kind of scrape search results and then try to get people to click on them by like creating paragraphs of buzzwords. And you actually try to read the paragraph of buzzwords, and you're like, this is nothing. Like this is English, but it's nothing to my brain. That's what his paragraph reminded me of. Just a website bot scraping search data to talk to you about a topic.
They call it a word salad in that article, by the way.
That's exactly what it is.
Check out this word salad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely just seems like he's being reeled in and can't say shit about the fact that Sony somehow has some kind of licensing control of that character, even on the video game level, which might be something that they retrofitted into the contract in the modern era. Like somehow they had their lawyers like rewrite it so that video games, being a visual medium, are now lumped in with TV and film. But the weird thing is, Spider-Man shows up freely in Marvel animated movies. Like he's in Marvel animated movies. So somehow Marvel animated movies. Now I'm not talking about the one produced by Sony, Into the Spider-Verse. I'm talking about
Disney actually makes a new Spider-Man show. So they have a show on their own content that is a Spider-Man TV show.
Right, but there was nothing. I don't think there was anything. I don't think they had to get Sony's permission to make that show because the cartoons have always been like, maybe they didn't sell. Here's what I think it is. I think maybe back in the 90s, they were doing well with the Spider-Man cartoon, and they didn't sell off cartoon capabilities to
Right, because I remember that show was originally on Fox. I don't think they owned it, though. The 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh, Disney didn't own it. Yeah, no.
Disney didn't own it then. No.
No, but I'm saying I think Marvel as a production company didn't sell off the rights to animated Spider-Man because they were successfully licensing that no problem to Fox at the time to make that show. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that does actually make a lot more sense.
But
because now Disney has the ability to do it.
They had some fucking crazy ass deals that they made. Spider-Man went to Sony. Like the fucking
Fox
deal.
Got X-Men,
Right, Fox got X-Men, and the deal that they made for the Incredible Hulk in perpetuity is how it's written, forever.
Right.
All right, with Universal,
Universal got Hulk.
Is that Universal forever gets to distribute the Incredible Hulk as a character forever. You write that into a contract. That is stupid. No forethought whatsoever. This is why you can only see the Incredible Hulk in an ensemble. He can't be in his own movie. Edward Norton movie was exclusively distributed. The last Incredible Hulk movie was exclusively distributed by Universal. But Disney won't allow him to be in a movie because they have to turn the entire production's distribution over to Universal if they do.
Disney does not want that at all.
No.
I swear to God, the companies ruin good properties, man. They really do. They know they know how to do it.
And for all you Disney Plus subscribers out there, that's why you don't find the Incredible Hulk movie on Disney Plus, and you don't find either of the Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus. They're not there because they're not allowed to distribute them. Distribute them. So.
Wait, are you talking about the Homecoming series or like the?
I'm talking about
Sony movies.
I'm talking about just Spider-Man: Homecoming and Spider-Man: Far From Home. I doubt
they're not on Disney Plus.
No, because
shit.
Sony gets exclusive distribution rights of the Spider-Man movies. They were produced by Marvel, but Sony gets the exclusive distribution.
That's so messed up.
So you gotta wait for a Sony television watching service.
I mean, we've never been in a place like this before where there's so much cooperation between studios. So these deals happen all the time, and it just didn't. No one cared because why would you care? Like if you sold the rights to somebody, that's their property now. No one had to
in the 90s?
come back 10 years later and go, hey, shit, dude, Steve, can we borrow this guy? Like we need this guy because these movies are making billions of dollars. We need this character.
Back in the 90s when they sold that shit off, the only thing they made those movies for was to sell fucking toys. That's it.
Exactly.
They were looking at toy profit margins in order to figure out whether they should make the movie or not. That's what decided. Now it's actually interest from fans and like fucking faithfulness to the comic character arc and like all the shit that they have to consider, when bringing all this stuff in. It's gotten super complicated for them to make this shit at this point. Yeah, I always get this image. I always get this image of this like fat cat, literally like as big as like the Marvel character Kingpin, fat, wide like television producer, movie producer guy
with a cigar,
with a big fucking cigar at that time, who doesn't even know what these characters are worth a damn, and he's just like, am I getting a bottom line on the fucking toy merchandising? Like, tell me the merchandising on fucking toys.
So Harvey Weinstein, pretty much.
Yeah, so basically Harvey Weinstein making Marvel movies in the fucking 90s.
Got it.
The classic favorite of mine is the 1989's Punisher, direct to video. Check that one out. It's so bad.
Probably gonna skip that one.
Felix, let me ask you this: as a person who is probably going to play this Marvel game when it came out, right? Was this on one of your lists of?
Well, I'm definitely getting it, and I'm going to play it, but I'm really reticent about the fact that it is a goddamn service game, man. Like I hope it's more like Ultimate Alliance than it is a service game where I'm like fucking, with.
So. Because of this deal, are you probably going to get it on PlayStation instead of Xbox?
Oh, I did the pre-order on the PlayStation from the beginning for that reason.
Okay.
Because I kind of
anticipated. For what reason?
That there was going to be exclusivity with the Spider-Man because of my experience playing the Spider-Man game on Sony. Like
gotcha.
I went with PlayStation for this reason, and I was kind of right. But I didn't know it was going to be that obvious, like that it was going to come out.
What insider information do you have, Felix? Share it with us.
No insider information. I just, I kind of thought that because of Sony's relationship with Spider-Man that he was going to come out. I thought it was going to be timed thing, like he would come.
Well, yeah, it looks like he's not going to drop till next year anyway.
Right, but I thought it was going to be one of these things where he comes out on PlayStation for a little bit, like Destiny did in D1 Trip Zero. Do you remember when they released all this weird, like the Jade Rabbit was a gun that was only on the PlayStation for like a year? And
dude, they did that every single year, all the way through Destiny 2 being owned by Activision.
There were like PlayStation only dungeons too.
There were PlayStation exclusive strikes, PlayStation exclusive maps for Crucible. And there were PlayStation exclusive armor sets, legendary armor sets, and then usually exotics would happen too. But the thing about that is like they weren't ever really great. Jade Rabbit was pretty great. But like the majority of the time.
Let me ask you this though. Do you feel like you were missing content out on content that other platforms had?
The only time that I ever experienced this because I was a PlayStation player is when I went to PC and spent that year, the Forsaken year, was another the last Activision year. So they had a trace rifle called the Wave Splitter, an armor set, and then a strike that we didn't have. I didn't feel like I was missing out. I didn't like the content is just never. It's never that meaningful for exclusivity, at least in the way that Destiny played it out. Nowhere near saying like a character like Spider-Man, as well known and as well loved, that's like a different level of exclusivity.
Yeah.
That's like to me. That's like saying, hey, the warlock. Yeah, it's like saying like the warlock class in Destiny. I'm sorry, only PlayStation has that guy right now.
I would agree that's
me
a pretty close and fair analogy. Yeah, because it's a whole character that with a whole different play style that he's obviously going to have. He's Spider-Man. You know, it's a different way to experience the game, and you're locking that to an entire console. So it's more than just like cosmetics or like a cool place to be in the world that the next like console will have a year later. It's an entire gameplay mechanic, set of mechanics and moves and experiences. It's nuts, kind of.
Bottom line with that character, because what they're going to do is with every single character, they're going to have hero missions. We actually get to play one in the beta coming up. The hero mission that you're going to get a chance to play, which I love the description in the Square Enix video that they do, an overview of their own beta that's coming out. I don't think this is a word, but the word is smashable. Is that a word?
I mean, it's definitely a word. Depends on the context.
Well, you're going to play a mission.
You know how I use it.
Yeah, I do.
Depends on what you're asking.
Yeah, right. So he says that you're going to be playing an exclusive mission that's part of the Kamala Khan and Hulk thread, where they team up and they go in and they end up doing a boss fight with Abomination. If you're not familiar with him, he was in the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. He's the enemy that Hulk fights in the street.
He's like the bigger Hulk.
But they say that the interiors of all the buildings that you're going to be playing this mission in are fully smashable interiors, which I think is going to be fucking great as Hulk.
That could work actually in either way you're interpreting that word, depending on who you are.
Yeah,
so, sure.
Hulk smash.
Smash that interior, dog.
Yeah. Hulk smash. Black
People
Widow.
can smash pretty much whatever they want if they're dedicated enough. So
Hulk smash Black Widow.
all right. Well, we were towing the line and we just fell directly over the line. Let's keep it count. Let's keep it moving.
All right, you ready? You guys ready for the next story of the week?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so big newsman on campus, Jason Schreier, released he got his hands on an internal document that was going around Blizzard, and pretty much pointed out everybody on Blizzard staff were sharing their pay rates with each other.
Good.
They were sharing how much they were making. Yeah, this is crazy because what they noticed was a lot of employees end up either, aside from layoffs, we're quitting and moving to other game companies to get significant raise bumps, like significant. And he actually compares it as well in the article. He's talking about like how Riot Games, for the same role, these people would make way more, like way more. I'm gonna try and pull up his other drop on this earlier this week. But essentially, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna vamp if you were still searching for things.
Do it.
But just discussing wage is a thing that's so taboo in like American
companies make it taboo, right?
Yeah,
like companies
exactly.
don't want to talk about
culture that they perpetuate so that they can hire people for as low as possible, especially in similar gigs and roles to your coworkers, and they keep that like that atmosphere going so that no one talks about what they're making to then make other people want to make more money. It's entirely a tactic employed in every single company, I believe, and so much so that like it just indoctrinated into our culture to not that it's gauche, don't talk about your wages. It just no, everyone should be talking to everybody else about what they make. Every single person. You know, like it's not illegal to do it, but I've had people at jobs I was working at get low-key threatened by management for discussing it or having, thoughts or discussions that insinuated that's what they would talk about. But like they're not allowed to do that. It's like illegal, but they still make it just a part of the atmosphere and the culture.
The culture, yeah.
We just buy it, dude.
And it's almost like if you, in some cases, if you are caught talking about it, they can reserve the right to let you go, right? Like in those situations.
Because a lot of the employment agreements are at will, is what they'll say. So they can let you go without really a reason.
God, that is such a bullshit thing
It's fucked.
I hate at will.
Things are fucked. Things have been fucked for a while.
Been there since the 20th century. It's been there since the early parts of the 20th century. This is well, it's really something that was thought up by the robber barons that were getting. So riots were happening at factories, and they started to think of progressive ways to improve work life for employees, and
and is that unions or?
Well, unions were what spurned from a way to quell rebellion that was constant in the 19th century at steel factories and all these different types. Not to sidebar this crazy, but like
I'm going to bring it right back.
That's where all that shit originates. It originates with, and then unions spawned out because what they were doing, they were doing tactics like strike breaking. Like if people went on strike, if they were part of unions, grew out of like the natural course of trying to protect workers. But like they started to work in the early 19th century, they started to work with unions to come up with a plan so that workers would be happy, so they wouldn't fucking riot and get pissed and leave. And they would have to bring in strike breakers in order to break the strike. That type of shit.
You pointed out to me that the movie industry also went through this like fairly recently, like 30, 40 years ago.
The video game industry is a young industry, a very visual, multi-billion-dollar industry now. And they never had their chance to go through that period of time that the film industry went through in the 20th century, where they basically like didn't unionize anything and didn't give anybody. There was no guilds. There was none of that shit existed, and they had to generate that stuff through it started in the 30s when stars started actually having weight and power and could basically tell studio heads to go fuck off, whenever they wanted to. When it got to that point where the stars were the ones who were bringing the tickets in, that's when they started saying, "Hey, we got to unionize some of this shit. We need a Screen
to bring
Actors
back to the
Guild."
video game industry.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take for these workers, the people that make these things that we love to play and enjoy so much, because we want them to have a good living wage? I think that's kind of the point of bringing this up, right? Like we want them to not worry about doing things like, for example, sleeping in their van and being forced to live in houses of 6 or more employees together. These are things that Jason cited in the article, because they aren't making enough money to live on their own. But yet these games make billions of dollars. Bobby Kotick taking home a $40 million bonus, per year, because his company is so profitable.
Saying things like, "I don't know the future of video games in the pandemic. We definitely can't give people their bonuses this year." It just it's infuriating, honestly.
It's very. And then not to mention last year, because before we got on the call trip, I pointed out that Blizzard has been in a downward trajectory as a company, I want to say. And we can cite a million things. We can cite the Hearthstone issue that they had like a year ago. We can cite the release of Warcraft 3, which honestly removed more features than it added, and it made it a worse game for it. Just like various releases of World of Warcraft not being what they thought it was, saying, "Oh, what, don't you have phones for Diablo Immortal?" and doing things like, "Well, we don't feel like doing a WoW Classic because you don't want it." Like saying to the customer, "No, we hear that you're asking for it, but we're telling you don't want WoW Classic." And then lo and behold, they just released WoW Classic.
They've done it to themselves in terms of public perception, and this is another,
of course,
another downturn.
Just the list goes on, right? But for this to happen, that now last year after they posted record high profits as per usual with Blizzard, they remember last year we actually talked about this. They let go a lot of their esports people, almost 400 jobs, just gone. They just deleted. And the Heroes of the Storm esport league, they essentially shut down. They decided they weren't putting any more into it. And then to go on and not pay their employees a fair wage is just absolutely bananas.
Yeah. I mean, there's a line here I saw. The QA team wants a living wage, not even higher wages, a living wage.
Yeah.
Do you know what the living wage is for Philadelphia? It's $12 and something cents. 12
really?
Something is living wage.
That's so low. I feel so low.
And people are not being paid that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And where are they based out of? I don't even know. Where's Blizzard located?
I actually don't know. It's a good question.
Irvine,
California. Yeah, there we go. All right, and that's kind of an expensive state to live in, right?
California? Yeah, it is. Well,
Yeah.
but like it's
Depends on where.
Yeah, it's one of the more expensive ones for sure.
Just today, before we went live, earlier today, Jason put out a second article that says after he dropped his article like 2 or 3 days ago about the comparison of the spreadsheet that people were passing around, the employees got on their company Slack and they started organizing like essentially like their own union, right?
Yeah.
Not formally a union, but they were essentially coming together and being like, all of us together are going to ask for better compensation.
Good for them, absolutely.
So pumped to see that happen, because these game companies are not unionized. These employees are not protected, and they make the things we love. They should be protected. If we care about these things that we love so much, we should care about the people that work on them, and not Bobby Kotick with his $40 million bonus.
The problem you're going to run into is, well, exactly the issue. It's not the movie companies that are providing fucking unions for the employees that work on sets.
No.
It's a third-party arbiter. It's like a third-party organization needs to be created.
There is one, but it's called like the Gamers Union, blah blah blah. I'm not sure what it is. It's like,
right. It's vague and you can't really get a lot of information on it. But they need a third-party thing to be created. You know what I mean? That works. That it has a body of people that work as representatives of the employees in legal disputes. That's really what they need. Because if they don't get that, the company's just going to go, well, you're all fucking fired. We're just going to hire new people who are willing to take your wages.
And that's what they usually do, right? Like, even in the game industry, for sure.
Right. It can just, in any of these major corporations, you got to find some outside source that's going to basically bank a move to like fucking strike and support the workers or something through the strike or something along those lines. Because that's what in the film industry, the Screen Actors Guild is independent of movie studios. I mean, it's supposed to be. I don't know if it is fucking at this point.
Right.
Like with people owning shares and shit and all that garbage. But think of like IBU. IBU is the International Bureau of Electrical Workers. Okay.
Right.
In major cities, most of the IBU electrical workers are getting employed not on construction sites. I mean, a lot are, but like most of them are probably getting employed on movie sets when movies come into town, because IBU is the organization that protects electrical workers when you're on a movie set. So like that's a great example. And then there's a lighting union that's independent of all that shit probably, or they might fall under IBU as well because it's electrical. But like there's all different ones, on movie sets, but they're all independent of the studios, and the studios have to work with those groups, Yeah,
we're far from that kind of infrastructure happening for game development, but this is one of those conversations that has to happen. It's one of the first steps to making it okay. And in a year like we've had, where there's been so much activism, Jesus Christ, activism about things that matter for people, I feel like we can actually make something happen, and the workers can make something happen and get enough attention towards this that Blizzard says, okay, maybe we can't get away with shit like this.
Blizzard and other game companies need to realize that they need the workers, not the other way around, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
It's a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Like it's a partnership. You have to treat the people right who are doing the work for you and making your company profitable every year. It's important. Like, you have to treat the workers right.
Well,
and they'll love working for you, right? Like it's a natural cycle of like make it a good place to work for, and then you'll have happy people that'll work for you.
Yeah, you'd think, but people don't want to buy into that.
It's the idea. It's a very simple concept. Yeah. But
unfortunately, you need to
shareholders
buy into that that belief. But we could also force them into it. Like I said, it's 2020. We've been pretty active out here, so
I hope
it generates a lot of positive snowballing attention, and Blizzard at least comments, because that'll be interesting to see where they take this. If this gets enough public attention, Blizzard's going to have to say something about it. They're going to have to. They can't ignore this kind of shit.
They haven't they haven't commented yet on this, have they?
Yeah, it's too early. If this was just kind of being talked about this week, there needs to be an overwhelming company response, overwhelming like employee push for this and public support push for Blizzard to say something publicly about internal workers' rights in their company. So we're too early for them to actually even be thinking about this, but maybe in another like week or two, if this keeps growing, they'll have to start thinking about how to address it, and that'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Oh, I mashed that retweet button so hard, you guys. I'll tell you what, you gotta spread the word on that. Because I want them to do better. I like, as much as shit I just gave Blizzard for its like, past currently, like I want them to be better. I want them to do better. Like that's all I can ask for.
I feel it, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I was saying before the show when I guess me and Neo were talking, I was like, because Neo was talking about how much he used to love Blizzard back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, these days, is there really a corporation you do like, Neo?
Not particularly is what my answer was.
Like,
not in particular.
Not particularly.
No, like I was saying to Felix, like 2004, that was like golden year for Blizzard, right? They weren't owned by Activision. They just launched World of Warcraft. Loved Diablo 2. StarCraft 2 was around the corner. They were on fire, man. That was like their heyday. Like as soon as like Wrath of the Lich King came out, that expansion, they were firing it on cylinders, right? They had all StarCraft's expansions coming out, and oh my god, man, that was a time.
It's a different company today, 1,000%. It's
1,000%.
Not maybe as aggressive as like Rare today versus Rare back in the mid 90s, but it's a similar kind of vibe. There's a certain point where you're trading on the name only, and you've scooped out all the original company values and plans, and just have your IP walking as you make newer, shittier decisions.
I mean, the nice thing about Rare is it does feel like, even though Microsoft owns Rare, they can still do whatever they want, and it seems like that's what they're doing, right? Yeah. Like even with the Xbox announcements, like it doesn't seem like they're being held back by any form.
For a while it was just an IP churn, and it wasn't the same like
was. You're right.
Little scrappy gang of British people making good
Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye
3D platformer games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Neo. In regard to what we were talking about earlier, sorry, I didn't mean to take it right back.
No, you're fine.
To the Spider-Man thing. It's a picture of Tobey Maguire with from Spider-Man 3.
With the hair in front of his face?
No, it's Harry's above him while they're at the theater. Maybe that wasn't. Yeah, that was. I think that was in 3.
Oh, and he's staring down at Peter, watching Mary Jane on stage.
Yes. So it's
I don't see
it's
Peter,
about. And it says PS players enjoying the new Avengers game, and then above it's Harry, Xbox players staring at him.
He's staring at him. Fucking love it.
I'll send that to you. It's so funny.
Please do. I'll tweet the shit out of that out. That's great. It's a good meme. You ready to end this show? Is that what we're looking at?
I think that's it.
Hell yeah, guys. I'll take us out. I've been Neo Ayoshi. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Neo_Yoshi and twitch.tv/NeoYoshi. Still playing Ghosts, still playing lots of Valorant. I might stream some Final Fantasy next week or this weekend. I'll stream Avengers this weekend. That's what I'll do. I'll pop on the stream. If anyone wants to join me, hit me up on Twitter. Felix, you too. If you're going to be playing it this weekend, you let me know when you're going to play it, and I'll definitely play it with you.
Oh yeah, because you're doing the PS4 beta, right? Because
I'm on PS4. Yeah,
we're all doing PS4 this weekend. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Also, don't forget, check us out on YouTube. We're so close to 100 subs on YouTube, so please do that. Please. Emergent Gamer, Google that shit, or YouTube search it. All right, Trip.
What's up, guys? I am Trip0. You guys can find me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Trip0TV. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays around the podcast, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. on those days. I'm doing Zelda Breath of the Wild, going for 100%. So that'll be the stream content for a while. And I'm glad you mentioned the YouTube stuff, Neo. I am putting my own breakouts and things on my own YouTube channel. Again, just search Trip0. But also, if you come to my page, there's a link for the Emerging Gamer. It's very easy to find to get to us on that page and subscribe to. I know since I've been putting up I've been chopping up my my Last of Us playthrough and throwing up hours on there. At the same time of day, I saw one person come through and give me a sub, and then ours went to 88. So I'm like, cool. Just keep funneling them right over to the podcast. We can get our special link and make you guys cool video content that's easier to find.
Yeah, and this
Felix.
is
Felix.
Yeah, this is Felix Hergood. Twitch.tv/Felix Hergood. I'm taking a break from streaming. I'm trying to figure out when I'm coming back to that. So I don't, with my job,
We miss you.
I haven't been able to figure out like specifically how I want to do it. I'm still kind of adrift, and also I don't really have a confidence level to do it right now. I don't know what it's about. So
Whatever works.
I'm working through the psychology of that, and I'll get back to you. But obviously, I still got the computer, the setup, all the stuff ready to go. And one of these days, I'm going to bring it right back with something. I just don't know what yet. But right now, I'm playing, a bunch of games.
Well, Felix, we look forward to your return.
And I definitely will do the Marvel Avengers game with you this weekend if you're down.
Awesome.
I'm off Sunday and I believe Monday. So if you want to jam it on Sunday, that would be great. And you can be live. When
Sunday
you do it.
sounds definitely good.
You can be live. When
Yeah,
you
cool.
do it.
Yeah.
We'll rip one of the channels in the Emergent Gamer Discord. So.
Hell yeah, man. All right. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Later.